Have you ever had that strange feeling that everything in your life was somehow meant to happen exactly as it did? That perhaps all your choices, decisions, and even your mistakes were somehow predetermined long before you made them? Maybe you've wondered whether free will is just an illusion, a comforting story we tell ourselves to feel in control of our lives. I've been thinking about this question for years, and it touches on something fundamental about our existence. Today, we're going to explore determinism, a concept that challenges our most basic assumptions about choice, responsibility, and what it means to be human. If you've ever questioned whether your life could have gone differently, or wondered about the nature of causality and choice, you're in the right place. We'll dig into perspectives that might change how you see your own life decisions and perhaps offer a new lens through which to view the world around us. The concept of determinism is deceptively simple yet profoundly complex. At its core, determinism is the philosophical position that every event, including human cognition and action, is causally determined by prior events and the physical laws of nature. In other words, given the exact same circumstances, the same events would always unfold in exactly the same way, time after time. Let's start by understanding what determinism actually claims. Imagine dropping a ball from your hand. Does the ball have a choice about whether to fall? Of course not. It's subject to gravity and other physical laws. Determinism suggests that human decisions operate under similar principles. Every thought, feeling, and choice you make is the immutable result of countless prior causes: your genetics, your upbringing, your experiences, and the specific circumstances of the moment. Think about the last significant decision you made. Perhaps you changed careers, ended a relationship, or moved to a new city. It felt like a free choice, didn't it? But determinism asks us to consider that your decision was the only possible outcome given your brain state, your past experiences, your values, and the particular situation you were facing at that exact moment. This is where determinism becomes personally challenging for many of us. If all our actions are predetermined by causes beyond our control, what happens to personal responsibility? What happens to praise and blame, to credit and punishment? If a person commits a crime, but their action was the inevitable result of their genetics, childhood trauma, and social environment, can we truly hold them responsible? Some philosophers argue that determinism undermines the concept of moral responsibility entirely. Others contend that responsibility doesn't require the kind of could-have-done otherwise freedom that determinism challenges. What matters, they suggest, is whether your actions stem from your own desires, values, and reasoning, even if those mental states were themselves determined. Before we go further, if you're finding this exploration valuable, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. Each week, we tackle profound questions like this one, questions that shape how we understand ourselves and our world. Your subscription helps support more content like this, where we can explore life's deeper questions together. Now, let's bring determinism into everyday experience with some concrete examples. Consider how we think about personal achievement. When someone succeeds in business, academics, or sports, we typically attribute their success to their hard work, talent, and determination. We praise them for their accomplishments. But if determinism is true, then their drive, their intelligence, and even their willingness to work hard were all determined by factors they didn't choose: their genetic makeup, family environment, early educational opportunities, and countless other influences. Does this mean we shouldn't celebrate achievement? Not necessarily. It might mean we should recognize achievement differently, acknowledging the complex web of factors that enable success rather than attributing it solely to individual merit. It might mean showing more compassion toward those who struggle, understanding that their challenges may result from causes beyond their control. Or consider addiction. We often think of addiction as a failure of willpower, but modern neuroscience increasingly views addiction as a complex brain disorder shaped by genetic vulnerability, early life experiences, mental health issues, and social environment. If determinism is correct, the person struggling with addiction could not have done otherwise given their particular neurological and circumstantial history. This perspective doesn't mean abandoning treatment efforts, quite the opposite. It means addressing the actual causes rather than blaming individuals for lacking willpower they couldn't possibly have developed. There's also the fascinating area where determinism intersects with modern physics. Classical Newtonian physics aligns perfectly with determinism if you know the position and momentum of every particle in the universe, along with all the laws of physics. You could theoretically predict everything that will ever happen. But quantum mechanics introduced apparent randomness and uncertainty at the subatomic level. Some have seized on this as a possible escape hatch from determinism. However, many philosophers and scientists point out that quantum indeterminacy doesn't necessarily translate to meaningful human freedom. Random quantum events in your brain wouldn't give you control over your choices. They would just make them unpredictable rather than determined. True, free will seems to require something more than mere randomness. There are, of course, alternatives to strict determinism. Compatibilism suggests that determinism and free will can coexist, that free will simply means acting according to your own desires without external constraint, even if those desires are themselves determined. Libertarian free will, not to be confused with the political position, argues that humans possess a special kind of agency that somehow transcends the causal chain of the physical world. What makes determinism so compelling yet so troubling is that it follows logically from our scientific understanding of causality. Every effect has a cause. Your thoughts and decisions are effects. Therefore, your thoughts and decisions have causes. If those causes ultimately trace back to factors beyond your control, your genetic makeup, your early childhood experiences, the historical and social context you were born into, then in what sense were your choices ever truly free? Yet despite the logical force of determinism, most of us cannot help but experience ourselves as free agents, making genuine choices. We deliberate, we weigh options, we experience regret, all of which seem to presuppose that we could have chosen differently. This tension between a lived experience of freedom and the philosophical case for determinism creates what philosopher Galen Strawson calls the impossibility of moral responsibility. As we near the end of our exploration, it's worth considering how a determinist perspective might actually enrich our lives. Understanding that people's actions, including our own, are the results of complex causal histories beyond anyone's ultimate control might foster greater compassion and less judgment. It might help us address social problems more effectively by focusing on root causes rather than assigning blame. And it might even help us be kinder to ourselves about our own limitations and failures. Whether or not determinism is true in some absolute sense, grappling with its implications can lead us to a more nuanced understanding of human behavior, choice, and responsibility. Perhaps the most practical approach is to live as if we have choices, because subjectively we experience ourselves as having them, while maintaining humility about the many unseen factors that shape who we are and what we do. I've shared a lot to think about today, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe in determinism, or do you think human beings possess genuine free will? Has considering determinism changed how you think about your own life choices or how you view others? Show your perspective in the comments below, and if you found value in this exploration, please like the video and consider subscribing for more philosophical discussions like this one. Also, check the description below for ways to support this channel so we can continue creating content that explores life's most profound questions. Until next time, thank you for joining me in this journey of thought and reflection.